Hello and welcome to our podcast. My name is Eva and I'm here with my beautiful partner.
Eduardo Medina, and welcome to our podcast. Thank you for joining us. It's a very exciting new venture as we are rebranding our podcast, uh, and we're going to be touching on new topics that have to do more with relationships as well as growing together and the relationship spiritually, financially, and getting kisses from my floofy right now. So, Eva, if you can introduce the new name of our podcast, that would be great.
Our new podcast is called Juntos with Eduardo and Eva, and it's just going to be us talking like we have been, but it's going to be a lot more even more unfiltered, I want to say.
Yes.
And we're also going to be keeping the episodes a lot shorter, more like 20 minutes to just give you more bite sized pieces and actionable steps in your life to better your life, to better your relationships with people in your life, because that is the gift that my relationship with Eduardo has given me. And so we want to pay it forward to the world.
Perfect. Thank you.
So today's topic is we're going to be answering some questions. And the first question is, how do we stay connected to ourselves as individuals within the relationship? I think this comes back to a idea that I had heard, and I think actually you had mentioned this to me one time, babe, where you said that were you existed and you had a life before this person came
Yes.
into your life and you had this relationship with them, and you can exist and have a life even if they're not part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of times we kind of lose ourselves as individuals when we become a couple. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I've seen couples, I've done this myself too, where you allow the identity of being in that couple
Yes.
to be more powerful than who you are as an individual.
Yes, I would. Was literally about to say and use the word identity. A lot of individuals, this has nothing to do with being in a relationship, right? In this situation, in this context, we're using it in the relationship. But a lot of individuals allow themselves to become the identity of that thing they like. Example, some people allow themselves to become only the career they have, and they make the career they have the highest priority. They refer to themselves as that career, and every single time they have the opportunity to introduce themselves, they always introduce themselves as Eduardo Medina, apprenticeship manager, right? They don't introduce themselves with anything more, just the title of the career. Same thing with people that go into nursing or people that love animals. They may taken that identity of an animal lover, right? Same thing happens in relationships. People start identifying themselves with that relationship, which is dangerous. And it's not that it's a bad thing all in all, because yeah, you should be invested in your relationship, right? Because this is a priority. However, if your whole identity is the relationship, you're going to want to do everything together. Anything outside the relationship is irrelevant, including anything that you want to do for yourself as an individual, whether it is growing your career, whether it is learn a new language, whether it is to just become a better person. You're going to disregard all of that, take on the identity of that relationship, and also because you're identifying as that relationship, if there's ever a fight, you're going to feel like crap. Why? Because it's a reflection of you. And if the relationship ever ends, oh my God, poor you. Because you're going to have such a hard time, because you're going to feel like you died. And
Hmm.
and really honestly, the feeling that you died is just here. It's very just. What I mean by that is that it is like you died, because that part of you has died with that relationship. And if you made that relationship the highest priority in your identity, once the relationship is not there anymore, you in fact have died. If you lose your career that you always introduce yourself as, and you have to pivot to go do something else, you did in fact die. That part of you, that version of you has died.
I think something that has supported me with not letting that happen anymore, because I think especially in the beginning, I definitely did identify a lot with the relationship because I saw relationships as one of my like saviors.
That's like a way out. And
Yeah, like growing up, like romantic relationships were my main focus because I didn't have to worry about a career or rent or anything. So the area of focus was romantic relationships, and I didn't feel that love for myself.
Mhm.
So I looked for it and outsourced it to my partners. And in this relationship, I feel like I've really blossomed
Yeah.
as a person. And what has supported that is you giving me the space to be myself
Mhm.
fully and to do the things that I need to do to take care of
Yeah.
myself. And you've also inspired like different habits too. Like I think we've inspired different habits with each other. Like I've
Yes.
inspired you to tune into your emotions more and
And slow
to
down.
have more grace and be more patient,
Yeah.
but then also to have like a spiritual practice. And then you have inspired me to be better with my physical body and to actually take care of my health, because when we moved to Wisconsin, I was the one who
Mhm.
inspired us to eat like crap for 2 years.
And to get like a balloon, both of us.
Yeah, we were both overweight and we've since been
Oh,
able
that's
to
a
lose.
that's a very nice word to use. Overweight. We were obese.
Yeah. But anyway, we have both grown and really taken things back into our own hands. And I think that seeing yourself as an individual, I see this too, like with new families, and maybe this would change after we have our first kid.
Yeah.
But um what I witness with new families is a lot of like abandoning yourself to take care of this other little human,
Hmm.
and also kind of abandoning your relationship with your partner a lot, I think. And I know it's a lot to juggle. I'm not saying that it's easy, but just from like looking on the outside, it I feel like I've just seen that time and time again, and that's something that I'm keeping in mind to be
Hmm.
more intentional with as we move into that stage of our life.
Yeah, I think that um, the key word here, or the key aspect that we're talking about, as we were saying, that how do you, I guess we could say, how do you keep your own identity
Mhm.
and then bring it into the relationship? I think there's a thin line, right? The thin line between love and hate. Do you know that song? But the thin line is that yes, you do want to make the relationship a priority. You do want to make your partner a priority, but you make yourself a priority too. And those hobbies that you had, or those things that you wanted to build as an individual, you should still go after and then come back to the relationship. Now, I'm not saying that you have to act as if you were single. All I'm saying to you is you don't have to lose your identity.
Mhm.
So, for example, and this is something that Eva likes to do, right? Like you like to uh, connect with spiritual people. I'm not as spiritual as you are, and I am open minded enough to go to some events with you, but you also have to understand that I'm not like you. So some events I'm gonna say no, and
Mhm.
you have to be okay with me saying no, and I have to be okay with you going to those events regardless of my answer.
Mhm.
The same thing with you. If I ask you for time to chill or to watch an anime because she doesn't like anime, that's totally okay. But I do. So if I ask her, can you give me an hour to watch anime? She needs to respect that so that I watch anime and she
Mhm.
can go do something else,
Mhm.
right? I love to go to the gym. I'm not the fittest, but I love lifting heavy. And she gives me the time to go to the gym, and she does something else at home as I'm doing that. Or sometimes she goes to the gym and she loves to do cardio. So those are the things that we talk about as individuals, right? I am starting my new business, my new phase or new phase of my business, because it's the same business as before. It's still finance, but I'm spicing it up with comedy that I like to make it my own thing, right? So just because I'm doing that, it doesn't mean that I can come back to the podcast. It doesn't have to be, it's just a podcast because we're in a relationship and that's what we do together. No, I have my own thing going on. I come back to the podcast as a partnership. And same thing with you. You have your spiritual business going on. It doesn't mean that you have to pause your spiritual business to come back to the
Mhm.
podcast. No, you go do your spiritual business and then we come together for the podcast.
Yeah, I think to recap all this, basically it's about embracing we are multifaceted
Hmm.
human beings, and we're not just one identity. And when you can actually embrace yourself, speak up and advocate for what you need as an individual to thrive, to have your cup full. Maybe that's spa night, maybe that's girls trip, maybe that's, time with your family, whatever it is. If you can do that and then also know that there's space for the relationship, and then for however big your family is, like, I think that's what we're basically trying to say, is that it's not picking one or the other, it's both, and making space for it all, knowing that there's enough love in your heart for it all, and respecting each other as individuals, and
Yes.
not making it like you guys have to do everything all together, because also at times we've learned that that's kind of made it harder, actually. When there was one time I remember we like um divided and conquered.
Yeah.
Well, like you went into one store and I like cleaned or something,
Mm.
and then after that we were like, whoa, why don't we do that more often?
Yeah.
Because we before then we were like always going everywhere together, and then it was
And
just taking so much
I
time.
think that that's gonna even be better as we have kids
Yeah.
because we're gonna have to, especially if we have multiple divide and conquer, we're gonna have to do different things.
Yeah, so our next question is, how has our relationship been a mirror for healing old patterns or family wounds? Can I go
Mm.
first on this one?
Yes.
Okay. So, the relationship that Eduardo and I have cultivated has allowed for it to be this container and mirror where we're able to have conversations and explore what is actually the pattern coming up, or what we're both feeling, and be able to give it a voice, but then also be able to work through it by knowing, like, basically, like, kind of we're like each other's like therapist, and we hold space for the other one to share what's going on and what we're feeling, and then we listen and we'll do like healing sessions with
Mm.
each other, um, to actually work on like the subconscious energetic side of it as well, because that's my passion. And so I've done that for Eduardo, and then he has also supported me and held
Hmm.
space too. I've taught him too. So
Yes, you have taught me a lot too, babe. But I think one of the things that I want to mention here is that you have to be careful. What I mean by that, you have to be careful that your relationship just doesn't become that. Because we had
mm,
a phase in our relationship where I had to tell Eva that she was only coming to me with problems and healing sessions. She was not coming to me with anything romantically or anything that had to do with that relationship. It was just me as a therapist. And this is not trashing Eva. All I'm
damn,
saying
babe,
is,
calling me out.
no, I'm not trying to call you out. All I'm saying is, like, you have to be careful with that, right?
Yeah.
Like, with how you do it. And also, although we're mirrors to each other, also, we can't blame each other for our triggers, right?
Hmm.
And it's just so funny that I feel like once you understand that a relationship is a garden, right? Where we're both growing as vines and that we are reflecting things to each other. Once you understand that, you are more than willing to be triggered. And you are more than willing to trigger the other person, even though it feels uncomfortable. Because those mirrors that we are to each other creates growth. Because those tough situations have to happen in order for us to grow.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought of it that way, but I guess we do kind of trigger each other.
Yeah, we do every day. And then that's there's a difference between just blaming each other and triggering each other,
Hmm.
because that triggers growth,
I
right?
think like our intention is to support the other one to grow. And
Mhm.
I think when you have that intention, you're not triggering from a space of like, let me jab at your wound, but you're coming from a space of, I want to see you do better. I want you to be better because I know that that's in you and I want to help you with that. And I think that's the difference. How would you say that our relationship has helped with like family wounds for you?
Well, I think that I'm going to speak from my perspective. You can
Mhm.
speak from your perspective. I know I can see some of your perspective and you can see mine, but that's probably better, right? Speak from each other's perspective. From my perspective, my family is was born and raised in Mexico, including myself. We are a very, and I mean very poor family. Not at this point anymore, but back in the day, right? Extremely poor. And we didn't care for feelings. We didn't care for how we felt, even physically. All we cared about was survival. And with that came doing things fast, because when you're in survival, you do things fast so that you can produce more or around the farm, right? And that is a wound from a family. And I'm not shitting on my family. All I'm saying is this is the family dynamic, right? I was never told that I was good enough. I was always told that I wasn't good enough, and I was treated like shit and physically abused, and I never received a hug and an I love you. So when you came in my relationship, you allowed me to hug people. It was almost like a permission, right? To hug people, because that was nothing that was ever taught to me. So even as friends, we were hugging each other to say goodbye, and that was a permission to hug someone. So you made me more loving towards people, and allowed those emotions to come out of me. You also brought a sense of slowness, to slow down and calm down, because in my family, everything had to be done quick, 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 quick to get more production and survival, survival. And you also taught me that you don't have to do things that you don't want to do just because you have to or you were taught to do them. Because we were raised poor, I was taught not to ever ask for anything, and I mean nothing, right? Like when I was a kid, I was asking for things, but then I quickly learned to not even ask for eating out, to not even ask for a toy, because the answer was no. So you taught me to go for the things that I really want. I remember this clearly. I don't remember the exact situation, but I do remember we were in a grocery store, and it was something as little as an item that was only like 15 bucks. And I remember looking at it and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then walking away, and you said, do you want that? And I said, no, I don't need it, because that's how it was raised. I don't need it. And then we were about to leave to check out, and you went to get it for me. And then you were like, well, you want it, right? And we can afford it. So why not get it? And that was such a new thing to me, to get something you want. It was so new to me. So that's how you have helped me grow in the relationship with your mirrors from your family, because you guys are more calm, and you guys are also a lot wealthier, to the extent that you guys are not like rich, but when compared to my family, you guys are super wealthy. So you also taught me to get what I want, not just what I can afford. What about you?
Mm, well, I was just thinking as I was listening to you how you can like really inspire your partner to grow in a different way or like see something within them that they might not have realized was there, you know? So
Yeah.
that was just kind of like a new aha that came to me. But I would say for me, a lot of it has been like holding space for me to actually do like ancestral healing. And also, I feel like with you, it was the first time in my life that I felt so unconditionally accepted by someone. Like I didn't have to be a certain way or do anything for you to accept me. And then that's what I received from your family too. Like I was welcomed and shown love and belonging from the very beginning, and that connection and relationships continue to grow and to deepen and to be more powerful, more loving, and to experience that is really beautiful because I feel like I wanted that my whole life, but it was so hard to obtain. And it wasn't until I started to recognize that I deserved love and that I needed to also love myself and know that I brought value and something to the table because I grew up feeling not enough all the time. And I consider myself to be a cycle breaker. So there's patterns in my family like scarcity mindset, not feeling good enough, being afraid to actually do something with the natural abilities and gifts that the person has. And I feel like I've come along with this perspective and mentality of I'm going to pursue my dream that I have in my heart, and I'm going to do things a different way, and I'm paving a new path forward for myself but also for future generations, and I want to inspire others along the way to see that they can do it and that they can believe in themselves and they can create something that they thought was not possible. So, I think that like belief in myself was something I was able to cultivate because I think sometimes someone else needs to believe in you first before you could start to do that for yourself.
Mhm.
When you see that, because I was outsourcing like my love and um my power, my love, my value to all these outside things, to my career, to my relationships, to everything. And then with you, like it was just so easy because we started off as friends. We weren't even in
Yeah.
a romantic relationship at first. And there was like it was strictly platonic. Like we were just spending time together, and then our romantic feelings started to grow because we just really enjoyed spending time together and got curious about exploring that
Hmm.
relationship.
Yeah, I think that there's something to say there. I know it has nothing to do with this episode, but then I guess it does because we're talking about relationships on our episodes now, right? I think that there's something to say there that relationships are better when you start as friends, and that
Mm,
doesn't mean that you don't feel attracted to the other person, right? It just means that you're not seeking to have a romantic relationship with them. You were just looking to getting to know them as an individual,
mhm,
and you wanted to just spend time with them and be friends. And then romantic emotions arise, and if both of you feel the same way, then you can start a relationship. I feel like I've heard a lot of people that have had successful marriages do that, start as friends. And I think the last thing, I don't even know why this came to my mind, but I take that as a sign that I have to share it. I think that always thinking about how can we improve is a good mentality to have in a relationship.
mm,
And I think that because earlier today I saw like a lot of, for some reason, TikTok was feeding me that because I guess I wanted to see if I was going through a divorce or something. Um, like that divorce glow ups that people post. For some reason, I came across like two or three, and as I was talking right now, I just thought, well, why do we have to do that? Why? What about like glow up as a couple when you're still in a
Mm.
relationship? Let's lose some weight. Let's gain some muscle. Let's get financially. Let's get financially responsible, like the guy on TikTok says. But let's be financially responsible. Let's grow in our careers and our businesses instead of having to do it as a glow up to get back to the individual. How about you do it in that relationship?
Mic drop.
There you go. Good night. We're done. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you for joining us. Hit subscribe. Feel free to leave a review on this podcast. If you have any questions you would like to hear from us juntos, Eduardo and Eva, please let us know and we will be happy to answer your audience questions.
Thank you for joining us. See you in the next one.